Welcome everybody to my YouTube channel and my live stream. Today we are going to talk about the true meaning of education. Actually, I've been trying for 2 days now to start this live stream. There was some issue. I think there was some issue with my software. Anyway, let's get directly back to our topic. So, a little bit introduction here. I've been watching on internet. There are a lot of people who are presenting themselves as educator of some sort. They're pretending to educate people. They don't know the first thing about education themselves. So I've created this slideshow for the people to understand what education truly means. So the true meaning of education. Section 1. I've divided this slideshow into 5 sections. 6 sections actually. So we are going to talk about each section in details. So section 1, the misunderstanding. There's a lot of misunderstanding in the field of education. Everybody has become educator of some sort, whether they themselves are educated properly. And when I'm talking about education here, I'm not talking about people who come from specific backgrounds, let's say just academia. A lot of people from academic background are educated people. They have right methods to apply. But there are certain people who come from academic backgrounds even. Academic background is required, but merely having a academic background does not make you a true educator or even a student. But in general, if you look at the state of the world in today's time, if you look at the people, everybody has become some sort of educator. Some are educating people about conspiracy theories, other are educating people about their own personal issues, in a sense that they are dealing with their personal issues and they're pretending to teach others. This slideshow is going to be a neutral uh, slideshow. Yeah, actually, I want to mention one more thing. I was actually dealing with a lot of intellectual property theft lately. A lot of people they tried to steal my intellectual property, so I was doing some legal work to get my intellectual property intact, so that in future there will be no attempts, and if there are attempts, they will be handled. So let's begin from there. Section 1, the misunderstanding. What is true education? The fundamental confusion of education. Education has been confused with argument. A lot of people, you may have watched a lot of people in real life as well as online in all the fields, be it politics, be it certain type of committees such as uh, not so formal committees who talk about all sorts of topics. So what you may have noticed that people, when they talk about education, they start to argue, and they think that whoever is going to win the argument will become is the bigger educator, is the winner of the argument. Dominance means education. No, it's not like that. A lot of people, they are earning their bread and butter by calling random people and coercing them to debate about things they don't even want to debate. That is once again not true education. And often a time what happens is, due to argument, debate, people start to dominate each other using internet. A lot of people hide behind internet and they pretend to know things, and they are typing, their fingers are typing like this, and they're pretending to know some sort of education, some sort of intellectual things. They're failing poorly, badly, and they're failing not just themselves but others as well. But yeah, everybody has a mouth, and nowadays everybody has internet, so you cannot stop people. People do what they do, and they think that what they are doing is working. People are falling for all this. Not everybody. Winning conversations. A lot of people try to win conversations. They think winning a conversation is true education, which is not. Winning conversation properly, with proper arguments in the sense proper factual arguments should be backed with facts. Without facts, the arguments are pointless. Winning conversation does not mean person is educated. Education requires a proper, focused work in the field of education, be it formal or informal. A person who is properly educating themselves. And once again, education does not mean just to remember or memorize and talk about somebody else's work. That's also plagiarism, not true education. All right, accumulating concepts. A lot of people, they accumulate concepts. They bring new and new concepts in the arguments, in the debates, to dominate the argument and to win the debate, to declare themselves a winner. That's not true education. Reality, these are ego behaviors, not education. None of this is education. This is, in a way, ego behavior, and also, usually, it is like misbehavior. In in Hinduism, in Buddhism, there is a term for wisdom. Wisdom means buddhi. It can be like buddhi can be intelligence, um, and buddhi can be your wisdom. Ego based intelligence, in Buddhism and Hinduism, ego is not the exact same term that is used in the West. In the West, they have a clear distinction between there's a false ego and there's a real ego. In India, in Buddhism and Hinduism specifically, when we are talking about ego, we are talking about the false ego, the false self that we have confused ourselves that this is what we are. In the Western systems, educational system, psychological system specifically, this distinction is better, like more clearer, more transparent. So there's a true ego, real ego. Real ego is healthy. Real ego is something that makes you grow. And then there's negative, false ego. What false ego does is, false ego makes you believe that in one day you're switching roles. You have become. There are people who think that in one day they have defeated scientists, they have defeated Buddhists, they have defeated other religion people, and they have become something. No, that's false ego. A lot of people have those egos, and they have confused themselves that they have some education, wisdom. No, they are merely interacting with the concepts. Education comes from a coherent place where you, like, when you go through a process of learning for years, that develops true education. Otherwise, everything else is just facade. Why argument is not education? Argument prioritizes defending identity. Education prioritizes seeing clearly. Argument escalates conflict. Education reduces friction. So argument, a lot of people argue and they want to win the argument, and then they what they do is, in the older time, and some few years ago, they used to pull Google and they used to search, and then they used to argue. Nowadays people are doing it on the computer. Okay. Education prioritizes seeing clearly. So a person who is actually truly educated, they understand things from a grounded place. They know things. They don't have to prove anything. Okay. And it's not about ego once again. Education and educator is about people who participate. Like for example, if a teacher start to show ego, that's a bad teacher. And ego, a lot of people have confusion with ego as well. So I will cover this ego part in some other videos. Just imagine a teacher who is showing ego that he knows everything. Would his or their student ever learn? No, they will only learn the poor behavior, or they will not learn anything. So ego is poor behavior. Education prioritizes seeing clearly. So a person who is educated or who is striving to gain education, they should prioritize on seeing clearly. Seeing in the sense, not just run with the one aspect of anything. A lot of people do this and they think they were intelligent, this and that. Argument escalates conflict. Education reduces fiction. A true educated person will always speak the facts, will always speak in a way that is solving something. A true educated person will speak not just with confidence. Some people confuse confidence with ego, and ego with confidence. That's also a problem. So, confidence is not ego. And ego, when I'm saying it is in Western term, it is false ego. Confidence means a person knows the subject well. Ego means a person who does not know the subject well. Type on internet, on chat GPT somewhere, right? Argument arises from clinging to views. There's a thing in Buddhism, Ditti Upadana. So when you cling to a view, when you cling to a subject matter, when you cling, when you want to identify in certain way, so there are certain people in this world who wear this attire and they're trying to prove themselves something. I had first personally had experience with such people. So there was a black magician or something, and he usually wear this attire, and he thinks that he's more educated than whole world. But when he speaks, the way he speaks, that tells that this person is far from educated. So people think that that attire, the clinging to that attire, that image is education. No, that is not. That is delusion once again. A true educated person does not need attires. Attires can can, for example, let's say if there's a scientist and scientist is running around in his lab in his this beach outfit, so that does not make sense, right? The scientist should look like a scientist. Educator should look like an educator. But once again, then there are these there you may have watched a lot of ads on internet. There are a lot of usually toothpaste ads and this and that. They have these fake doctors who are doing something all the time. So that is once again a fake facade. A lot of people are doing this ad like thing on internet nowadays to catch some attention. All right, they're false educator. Debate versus understanding. What's the difference between debate and understanding? So, debate, winner loser structure. Debate always establish winner or loser. that once again is improper way of educating anybody. Rewards and cleverness. Sorry, rewards cleverness. Cleverness, cunningness, this can make anybody win an argument. People can win the arguments. Somebody might think that this person is very clever, and sometimes people see these things as something attractive, but the thing is, that is also not true. Education encourages distortion. A lot of people who lose arguments, they flip things. What they're doing, they blame it on somebody else, or they blame on government, on systems, on religions, on people, on their previous teachers. No, this distortion is not going to make these people educated, no matter how much they are going to pretend. Then comes understanding. So when you understand something, in Buddhism, there's a term called direct understanding. Direct understanding requires to, like, for example, even in science, we have scientists, they observe things, they take notes, and then they come up with some ideas, some concepts, some theories, they speculate things, and then they create these different things, then they refine their research. In the same way, Buddhism also is, like, it's very different in that sense, but not in technicality. It is different, but in logic it is not very different. Technicality, how a scientist observe things, that is like well structured, well documented, everything can be revisited anytime. In Buddhism, that part is missing, but the observation, the following of logic and understanding, that is a whole different thing. But the underlying logic is same. Requires humility. A lot of people think that they are going to learn just because you have told certain people any concept and they can search on internet. That is a big mistake. They will never learn. Learning is not just reading things or understanding even things on internet. Like, understanding a concept, that is not true learning, that is not true understanding. And running away with this one concept, no. True learning comes from a coherent, where does this part fit, why does this part fit, sometimes challenging it. So it's a whole process. A lot of people cannot do this, and it's unnecessary conflict. So understanding, when you understand something, you don't need to argue with anybody. You understand it. If understanding increases, debate becomes unnecessary. When two people who are arguing, debating night and day, they will never reach to a point. They will never reach to a point where both are satisfied. One will think that other is wrong. But when both understand, so that understanding is what stops all these unnecessary, countless, pointless debates that occur. That's the end of these debates, right? Education is not dominance. Dominance looks like talking over others. A lot of people have come across recently in the past, even, they always like the voice, the sound of their voice. They always want to talk, and they usually talk when you're talking over you. They think that doing this proves them more dominating, and makes them look bigger. All right. Forcing conclusions. You're talking about something, and people, they start telling you conclusion as if they know. They pretend so much as if they actually know those things. That's wrong. That's not true education. Asserting superiority. See, if they exist certain phenomena, if they exist anything in this world, there are people who assert their superiority. Like, for example, there are physicists in the world. There can be millions of physicists into this time, but in the actual field of physics, in the prominent positions, let's say hundred thousands or less, let's say throughout the world, I'm talking about, not just one country. So, who is the best physicist? Nobody. Everybody knows physics. It's simple. In the same way, there are like authors. Who is better author than other? Nobody. They are expressing things in their way, right? So there are people who think that there is superiority, inferiority. Those people, they don't understand. They are not educated people. Extracting submission. So a lot of people, they want others to submit. That's not true education. Dominance comes from fear, not intelligence. A lot of scared people, they want to dominate others, and they play victim all the time. After doing all sorts of crazy things, after misattributing your explanation, mixing your explanation with their own fears, they think they're dominating you, they're scaring you, they're hurting you. No, that's a symptom of durbuddhi people. There's a term in Buddhism, durbuddhi. So there are intelligent people who are Buddhist monks. They're seen as Buddha. Buddha had proper way of understanding things. And then there are people, no matter how much you try, how much you explain, what you teach. I mean, you are teaching a person to not steal things. You cannot steal these things. You can understand these things. But he's doing exactly the same. And it's not because you are pushing somebody. No, you're trying to explain these things. Person has issue in understanding what is right and what is wrong because he's lost in something else. He thinks that dominating means winning, and winning means education. A lot of people in this world, they don't have a real true self. One day they are one thing, other day they are something else, next day they are something else, and they think that this is the best way of living. That proves that these people are educated or learned something. No, they're feeding their false ego, they're feeding their fears, they're feeding their insecurities. An educated mind does not need to overpower. I understand this thing. I'm trying to make you understand, and you don't want to understand. You want to jump branches. It does not bother me. It does not affect me negatively. People who do this, they do it out of fear, out of insecurity usually. So they're not educated people actually. Competition corrupts learning. Competition encourages comparison, inflates ego, distorts motivation. A lot of people have their egos inflated. That's not right way of. They will never learn. Distorts motivation, converts learning into status. So here's a little bit Buddhist insight when we talk about education. Comparison strengthens the illusion of a permanent self. Comparison strengthens the illusion of a permanent self. So in Buddhism, there's a term called impermanence. Impermanence means everything is subject to change, no matter how much you like. It's very different from changing yourself every day. That's personality There's a disturbance in personality, people who change their persona every day. See, we live in an impermanent world. So where you lived when you were a child, the house, that house is not the same anymore. You don't look the same anymore. You don't like or dislike the same things anymore. So when you cling to an idea, to a thought, so you're clinging to that illusion of education, and that I'm something now finally. That is wrong way of understanding. Let's say another example. Let's say there is a teacher or professor. So he understood the subject once when he educated himself, and he stays clinged to that subject, and he does not care about the nuances. So he's going to harm his own, like he cannot be a true educator. He will harm his own image. So education means to learn every single day, right? When you cling to something, you want to become something. A lot of people who are getting a lot of attention from things that I've taught them, they are using it as a some sort of drug right now. So yeah, that's not true education. Ego, hubris, and pseudo intelligence. Now we have moved to section 2. Ego, hubris, and false intelligence. A lot of people are suffering from this. I've one-to-one experience with a lot of people who are lost in their massive false egos, in their hubris. The intelligence is all either driven, stolen, plagiarized, or there is no intelligence. They're just reading it off internet, using chat gpt something. So hubris is not intelligence. What hubris is, it's overconfidence. It's resistance to